Yemen's Prime Minister has accused separatists backed by the United Arab Emirates of an attempted coup after they took over the government's headquarters in the city of Aden. At least 10 people have been killed and 100 others wounded in the worst fighting yet between secessionists and Yemen's government. The secessionists want control of Yemen's southern region, which was an independent country until 1990. The civil war has already torn the country apart. Houthi rebels seized control of the capital Sana'a in 2014. President Abdrabbuh Mansour Hadi's government was forced to move to Aden in the south. Adding to the tension, the UAE is arming secessionist fighters, despite being part of the Saudi-led coalition that's helping President Hadi battle the Houthis.
There is no difference between the Houthis and anyone else who rebels against the legitimate government, no matter who they are. If he's not with the legitimate government, then he's rebelling against it and considered an enemy to the entire country.
Osama bin Javed has this report on the fighting in Aden.
Yemen's Prime Minister says secessionists have staged a coup in the southern port city of Aden. That's where the government had been based for the last few years. There are reports of several people being killed in fighting between pro-government forces and separatists. This mobile phone footage appears to show people arriving in the city. Thousands of protesters have been gathering against the internationally recognized and Saudi-backed government. The demonstrators are backed by the United Arab Emirates, which is supposed to be Saudi Arabia's ally in Yemen.
Even a northern Houthi-controlled Yemen is not necessarily a bad situation for the UAE. It's only the Saudis who will be really upset. Saudi has lost a very important proxy country in Yemen. It now has a threat in its own backyard. The UAE has now claimed a new territory in the region that it claimed to be its own. And the Iranians, although they haven't put all their weight behind the Houthis, if Houthi secures northern Yemen, its only ally will be Iran. So Iran gains either. So the biggest loser in all of this is Saudi Arabia in terms of regional implications. I think we're headed towards a separate Yemen based on current situation.
The conflict in today's Yemen is complicated. The country used to be divided between North and South Yemen until unification in 1990. But the differences never really went away. Since the fight with the Houthis began in 2015, the secessionists have fought for control over air and seaports of Aden. Last week, southern forces led by the man appointed by President Abdrabbuh Mansour Hadi as the governor of Aden announced to overthrow Hadi's government. Major General Idrous Zubaydi rejected the deployment of northern forces to the south.
There have been calls since last Sunday, so it's been about a week, for people to go down to the streets to protest. And the South Transitional Council has been calling on the Hadi government to dissolve and for a new government to be appointed. They are calling for independence. As we've seen on the ground, the clashes are continuing and the situation is developing very quickly.
Now the future of President Hadi is in question. He has been based in Saudi Arabia, along with his Prime Minister Ahmed bin Dagher, who struggled to control southern Yemen despite support from Saudi Arabia. Yemen's elected government was pushed out of the capital Sana'a in the north, and now it doesn't seem to have a place in the south as well. Osama bin Javed, ALJAZEERA.
To get a better understanding of the recent unrest, let's take a look at Yemen's past. Now, for much of the latter part of the 20th century, the country was divided into north and south. The north enjoyed support from Saudi Arabia, while the south went from being a British colony to a Marxist state backed by the former Soviet Union. But in 1990, the two sides united, with the president of the north, Ali Abdullah Saleh, becoming leader. But after just 4 years, the fragile union was torn apart by civil war. Saleh's forces captured Aden, defeating the south and forcing Yemen back into a unified state. Frictions continue between the two sides, with the south often complaining about what it sees as unfair treatment by the north. The south is rich in resources, but it says the north gets more investment and attention. That's led to the birth of a popular movement which wants independence for southern Yemen. Al Jazeera's senior political analyst Marwan Shubashara says the conflict in Yemen is playing into the hands of Houthi rebels.
The southern part of Yemen cannot get its act together. And clearly the Saudis and the Emiratis that are sponsoring the war in Yemen in some form of an Arab coalition have outsourced much of the fighting within the country. And that's leading to some major friction among the southerners, as we've seen, whether it is the president and his prime minister on the one hand, of the whole country that is, Abdul Hadi Mansour Hadi and his prime minister, and the separatists, if you will. So all in all, what the Arab coalition is calling for, what so many people who care for Yemen are calling for, basically, let's wait until this whole thing settled, the conflict with the Houthis, and then we'll figure out what is it to be done in the south. And yet, the separatists are taking advantage of the fact that there is a war going on with the Houthis, with the weak link being in the southern part of Yemen, taking some sort of a sponsorship from Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates in order to separate. So it's really quite sad, for Yemen, as it were.